Motorists who regularly travel past the Mennonite Heritage Village and Museum on Highway 12 will have noticed a familiar fall sight, the 1,000 or so Canada geese that have made a temporary home in and around the huge pond just off the highway. As impressive as the sight is of the sheer number of birds, Barry Dick, executive director of the museum, says that this year's numbers aren't really out of the ordinary.
This fall is fairly typical in terms of the migration of the geese. The spring was not typical. We saw very few geese this spring for some reason or other. But this fall there have again been large numbers of geese. There are times where the pond and the areas surrounding the pond are actually quite fully populated with these birds.
Dennis Fast is an avid bird watcher and wildlife photographer and says if you thought a Canada goose was simply a Canada goose, think again.
Well, there are a lot of Canada geese varieties, actually. Most people aren't aware of that. There's about, I think, 11 different subspecies that have been recognized. And then approximately 10 years ago, it could be a little more by now, they actually split them into two species. So anything that's kind of mid-sized and down is now called a cackling goose, because they found out that smaller geese didn't interbreed with the big ones. And the giant Canadas can stand 3 feet tall. The little ones are a kilogram and a half and look like a mallard, but the same coloration as the giant Canadas. So a lot of the geese here now are actually coming from far up north, and they're the cackling geese, which are more common up north than the true Canadas.
Most of us know that a Canada goose typically flies south for the winter. But why the stopover here in southeastern Manitoba?
During the day, they go out to feed in farmers' fields, and they'll feed on corn and wheat and what have you out there, and they're fattening up to head south. Now, traditionally, Canada geese headed further south than they do now. They're sort of going to Minneapolis, and some of them go a little further, but they don't really go to the deep south that much anymore the way they used to. There's too much food around in farmers' fields, and you'll see them until early December sometimes if there isn't snow, because they're still going out into the fields and feeding on grain.
Given that these birds will usually fly thousands of kilometers every single year, what is it about their makeup that makes them particularly suited for long-distance flying?
All birds have what are the primary feathers, which are at the tips of their wings. They're very strong, the strongest feathers on their body, and they have to be to carry all that weight. So they're just very efficient flyers. You'll see them flying in V's, of course, because they will benefit from the goose that's ahead of them a little bit. One wing will benefit from the draft created by the other goose. And then when you watch carefully, you'll see that they switch to the other side once in a while to give the other wing a rest and then work the left or the right, as the case may be. So they're very smart that way and efficient.
Most, but not all Canada geese mate for life, with each parental pair able to produce between 6 and 12 goslings per year.
They can produce quite a few geese, which is why they can rebound so quickly too if they have a bad year. The next year they'll produce more, and they can rebound their population very quickly.
Does the sheer number of geese that call the Mennonite Heritage Village and Museum home for several weeks during the fall pose any significant risk of damage to the property?
No, they don't damage the facility. It might be argued that they actually provide a lot of fertilizer for the grass. We have nice green grass around the pond. No damage done, just that people don't particularly care to walk where geese have been recently.
After all, most people are familiar with the catchphrase that accurately describes the efficiency of a goose's intestinal tract.
Yeah, their digestive system is very efficient, and which is why they're not liked a lot around retention ponds. It almost seems like they poop out more than they eat, and it's really quite remarkable.
Although not everybody is fond of the mess that these geese leave behind during the fall migration, Barry Dick says that these birds are truly a spectacular fall attraction.
People do find the geese interesting, even though it's not during our main tourist season. We do frequently see people pulling up on the shoulder of the highway or even between us and the golf course and stopping perhaps just to watch the geese or to take pictures. Some people, if our gate is open, will even drive in to get up closer. So there is certainly an interest in the geese, and they are attractive to people. They are a very attractive bird. It's only the residue of their presence that is less attractive.
For Steinbach Online, I'm Karen Black.